Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think with that, let's move on to, so you left school in year eight,
In year eight,
yeah,
yes.
or something like that. My old man left school in year nine.
Yes.
So there's Theo Maris left school in year nine.
Yes.
Like there's a bit of
I know all these people.
there's a bit of a trend on. It was really cool to leave school very young and be extremely successful later down on the track.
Yeah.
But you would have been about 14.
Correct.
So what was your first job?
I came home from school and my parents told me that dad's ill. My brother was 16 and was the last two home. He went to get a job as a panel beater at Gabby's Motors on Norwood Parade. And I got an apprenticeship at a little cake shop called Kazzy's, a Hungarian tyrant.
Kazzy's. That's
Yes.
at Burnside?
No, he was in Kent Town.
Kent Town.
But he went to Burnside later. He started again later. But I did a 4-year apprenticeship. I was the only apprentice who survived the full 4-year terms, and there's a reason. He was a bit of a tyrant, but he had gifted hands. You know, he was a very good tradesman, gifted hands. And then, you know, when you look at it, what did I want from him? Knowledge. And my parents told me, leave. You know, it's not working out, leave. I said, no, I aim to learn what I need. And 4 years in, he used to call me everything under the sun, hopeless, useless. Yep. And customers used to say, Vili, why do you put up with that? It's okay. It's only his opinion. I had different views. I had different views, right? That's how I look at it. People's opinions don't matter much.
No one can see this, but this is the chili pie that I'm eating. Is it?
Goulash.
Goulash? It's got some kick in it too.
Oh yeah, well naturally it's Hungarian. We are the major red paprika. The best red paprika made in the world is Hungarian. Right? So it's one of our national traditional things, you know, and so on. But these days I'm more Aussie than most. I came here by choice, they by sheer chance of birth.
Yeah. So going back to your old boss, he was Hungarian?
Correct, yeah.
Extremely tough on you.
Correct, yes, very much.
It seems to breed, I think, but being tough with people in a work environment can breed excellence with, let's say, the, you know, Danielson or Mr. Miyagi sort of style when you are learning from someone. Is that what you found with him?
Yes, hard taskmaster, yes. Didn't pay me for the hours I worked as well as much as I should have. But those days you were happy to get a trade, right, and so on. And I looked upon the fact that he had something to teach me. I used to go on Saturday mornings and not even get paid because he used to make stuff on Saturdays that he didn't make during the week. So I couldn't watch, I had to work. And I laugh about that. And, you know, I can laugh now.
I bet you can laugh now.
Yeah. But, you know, it's when I finished my apprenticeship, 3 weeks later, I decided that I didn't like bosses anymore. So I decided to start my own business.
Okay, so how old were you when this happened?
About 18 and a half.
Okay.
And I, had $50, a car, and more guts than brains. Okay. The brains came later. I thought everyone was honest in business. I found out very quick that was a bit of a fallacy.
Yeah, my boss seems to say everyone's lying to you. It's just a various amount of lies.
Correct, yeah.
And
that's why I like to do business. I never had a mobile phone until about 3 years ago. And I used to, tell people, you want to talk business to me? Come and see me. I want to look in your eyes. And if you can tell me a lie, then I'll think you're bloody good.
Yeah, just to put it into perspective, it's almost 2020. If anyone's listening to this in 20 years' time and realising not having a phone for 3 years, it's almost unheard of. So let's delve into that first job. So you had $50.
Yes.
And a car.
I had to sell.
So how like?
I leased some equipment.
Yeah.
I leased the premises.
Yep.
And nobody would back me in my family because they thought I was a snooty-nosed kid. Why would they risk anything with such a young ideal or a kid? Maybe I was a lot older than they think. There's a reason for that. If you've been brought up in revolution, 18 months in refugee camps, then coming to country Australia, maybe I was a bit older than they think. You tend to grow up a lot quicker, necessity to grow up, and of course, I swore I'll never have another boss, but I have one, it's called the wife. Right? Okay.
I think we got multiple bosses for some reason. So what was the name of the shop? Where was it?
Well, I started at the corner of Fullerton Road and Billa Road, and I leased an old, like a grocery store, improved the electricity, put ovens in, and I made cakes. I was trained as a continental pastry cook.
So that was your real art back then, was a cake chef?
Yes.
And what sort of cakes were you
My
making?
dream was always to go and work on a ship and cruise the world on a ship as a pastry cook. That died very quickly after I started my business. And it wasn't easy initially, but continental cakes were becoming a fashion.
Yeah.
And I used to supply all the major stores like Myers, all that sort of things. And I looked upon the fact that it was a good living. I employed my mother. I employed one of my sisters, and she actually opened up a cake shop in town in the State Theatre called Olga's Cakes, and a lot of people would remember that, if you're my age group, that is.
Yeah.
And
so that was in the State Theatre, Festival Theatre?
No, the State Theatre as in the movie.
Oh yeah, okay.
In Hindley Street.
Yeah.
In Hindley Street. And it was a little shop, seats only about 8, but takeaway coffees and stuff, cake and coffee. It was the in thing, the Europeans sort of supported their own little group. And so on. So it was interesting. There are not many Hungarians in Adelaide. They're mainly in Melbourne and Sydney. But there's about 3,000 here at the time. You know, so, but when you really look back, I stayed there for a year. Then I bought a property here at Marlene. You are in the house which I lived for 9 or so years. Built a little bakery out the back. I thought that would last me a lifetime. And it was brand new concrete floors, no little things running around the place, you know, and so on. You know, back in the good old days, there were cellars underneath the bakery. It's not a good idea, right? And so on. So I tried to get away from all that.
So this was technically your first office.
Correct.
Did you sell out of? Did you sell? This was your home. Did you sell out of here, or did you?
No.
So we're actually, because it's a podcast, that we're actually in one of the offices in here, and there is a few stories about some of the other rooms in this place.
Yeah, well, this room was actually our dining room, chandeliers, everything from the outside being industrial area. It looked like industrial. When you walked in, you thought there's another world. I think it's going to be comfortable as long as you make them comfortable for what you want inside your house. You see a lot of houses that are not looking too good on the outside, but when you walk in, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's what this was. And because I could walk across the backyard and go and bake in the bakery, every time there was no cricket or soccer or football or tennis on a weekend, I just go out and do a bit of work and get ahead.
Yeah.
And it was very good. Also, we had children along the way. My wife and I got married and got children along the way. I never told my wife I bought this place because she would have talked me out of it. Right? And she said, "You didn't consult me." I know. And she didn't like the idea. I'm not going to live here. Well, I'm here. So if you're not coming here, well, there's a short marriage, I'm afraid. Right?